Hello friends, in this lecture we will continue with 3D modeling and we will know about the draft feature. So draft feature is basically used to create the taper geometry or the inclined surfaces. Now to understand this, first of all we need to create a part. So I go to extrude and let's say I draw a part. So go to extrude and I select this XY plane and I draw a rectangle, that is center rectangle. Give this rectangle any dimension like this and finish the sketch and give it some height. So I'm taking all these default values, pick this arrow and drag it and click OK. So in this way we can draw an extrude of any dimension. So here we can see, so if we want to create the angular planes or inclined planes, we can use this draft feature. We can find this draft feature in the feature tab, draft. Also we can find it in menu, insert, go to detail feature and we can find the draft tool. Click for this option. So in the type of draft, we have multiple types of draft. First is face, edge, tangent to face and parting edge. So we will start with this first option, that is face. Here below this we can see multiple options. So first thing we can do is to create a draft we need to select the face. So in the draft we need to select the face to draft, the face which we want to create the draft. So I click on this and let's say I want to create draft onto this front face. So select this face. This is face of extrude 1 and then we need to select a stationary face. So this face will work as a reference for this draft. So go to this stationary face and let's say this top face is my stationary face. This is top face and then specify the vector. When I select this vector, it will automatically select this vertical direction as a vector. Okay, so now let's zoom in, rotate to this view and pick this arrow. When I drag this arrow, or we can increase the value of this angle to have a better view. So pick this arrow and drag it. Here we can see we can create an inclined surface. So we can specify the angle value. So generally the maximum value of draft is taken up to 15 degree. So let's say this is 15 degree and I can click OK. So here we can see we have created the draft. So once again go to this draft, double click on this and we can see we can create multiple draft at a single time. So for this we need to click on this add new set. But we have to make sure that the surfaces should be with respect to this stationary surface. So click for add new set and let's say I select the side face and here we can also create a draft into this. So I can click OK. So in this way we can create the draft with respect to the faces. So once again I go to draft, so let's rotate it. Go to draft tool and here I will select the second option, that is edge. So select this edge. So as the name suggests, we can create the draft with respect to an edge. So we can see in this preview it is showing draft from a stationary edge. Stationary means fixed edge. So let's say I want to create draft onto this face. Create the draft onto this face, we need to select this edge as a stationary edge. So click for this edge and select this edge. Now if I click on this vector, it is going to specify this vertical direction. So now we need to change the angle value. So zoom in here and drag it. We can change the value. We can also specify the negative value of this angle. So when I drag this, so it is going inward and here we can see the angle value, it is negative 19. So let's drag it and make it positive. Also, since we can see this edge is touching two surfaces, this surface and this top surface. So when I click on the reverse direction, click for the reverse direction, now the draft will create it onto the second face. So let's decrease this value. So this is, let's say this is 5 degree. So pick this draft value because it is going to measure the angle from here. So when I drag this, it will create a proper draft like this. So now when I pick this handle and insert the value of draft like this, here we can see this time it is going to create the draft onto this face. So we can select either of the face. Just select the reverse direction and it will create the draft. So to have a proper value of this angle, we can reverse the direction from this vector. Okay, and then it will create the proper angle. After that, below this we can see variable draft point. Till now the draft we have created is a constant draft. So the angle value is constant throughout this complete length. Now if we want to create any variable draft, we can select this option. So we need to select the reference point. So let's say I select this point, and then we need to specify the angle. So let's say this angle is somewhat different. So this angle is, let's say this is 60. Now we can see we have a draft that is 80 and that is 60. So we can control this location of this point by using the arc length. So right now it is at the 72% of the arc length. For the location we can select as a percentage or direct arc length. Okay, and I can click OK. So in this way we can create the variable draft. So I select both this draft, right click and delete it. After that, go to this draft tool once again. I select the third type of draft, that is tangent to face. Now to create this type of draft, we need a curved surface. So I cancel this. So let's say I go to edge blend and I select this edge. Give it some radius, so let's say this is 10 and click OK. Now we have a curved surface. So I go to draft and select tangent to face and then select face. We have to select this curved face. Select this face. Now we can see it has two faces that are tangent to this top face and this side front face. So increase the value of this draft. So let's say I increase this value. So this time the stationary face is top face and this face is moving. So we can specify the angle value inside this face. So I click OK. So in this way we can create a draft. So the last type of draft we have, that is parting edge. Now to create that type of draft, we need to open up a file. So go to your files, open, go to the folder of draft and open this file, that is draft 2. Select this file and click open. So inside this file we have created an extrude, and along with this we have one more extrude part. I want to create the draft of this face, this front face. To create a draft we need to take the reference of this sketch. So go to this draft and parting face. If we don't select this option, it will create the draft of this complete face. But we only want the draft of this upper face. So to do this we need to create a parting edge. So go to this parting edge option, select all the edges. So all three edges one by one. Then stationary plane, I will select this face. And then specify the vector. So reverse the direction for this vector. Okay, first let's decrease this value. So let's say this is 10. Okay, and then we can see we can create the draft onto this face. So when I drag this, we can see the draft is creating. I click OK. So here we can see the surface is inclined. So in this way we can create different types of draft.